Plant your flag. In Mordor, you'll need to do it deep. There's a fortress nearby. They say it's ruled by a two-headed troll big as a mountain. Deadly smart, which, I guess he'd have to be given the two heads. You take him down, you'll send a message to Sauron, and get yourself some nice new digs as part of the bargain.
Sieges are a huge part in Shadow of War. They're something that were used to promote the game, taking on the forces of Sauron and taking these massive structures as your own and using them to wage war against the Dark Lord himself. However, fortresses have two uses when it comes to sieges. There is against Uruks in the base game, and then you can do online sieges, taking down the fortresses of other players while collecting or killing their Uruks. It may not have an effect on them, but some of the Uruks you find in these can be an extreme help to you if you can manage to recruit them, and there's some awesome gear and great benefits to doing these sieges. We're going to be going over everything I personally know and do when it comes to sieges, your best defense against other players, how to take other players' fortresses, and just general things to look out for. This is the guide to online sieges. The first super important part about online sieges is your gear. Now, I am max level 80, and I recommend waiting till you're at least level 80 before attempting to do online sieges, as you can do them after you claim your first fortress in Nurnen. However, they will be much more difficult as you will be lower level with lower level gear. That's why I recommend waiting until you get to the epilogue and beat the epilogue to really start your online sieging journey. Now, my gear is a mix of the legendary Ringwraith gear you get for beating the game and the Vendetta gear gotten from online vendettas and completing specific tasks in them. Now, when we're talking about doing online sieges, we really need to think about what set the gear we're a part of is, as having multiple pieces of a certain set grant special bonuses depending on what tribe the armor is based on. My gear often changed a lot back at the beginning of the game, but now it's pretty much completely the same for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I've pretty much never changed my rune or bow because I love them a lot. But we're going to start with sword. I use the legendary sword Urfiel. It is the legendary Ringwraith sword, and it has grunts killed by melee attacks have 25% chance to resurrect as allies. This means even if it's an allied Uruk who kills an enemy, there's a chance that they will revive as an ally, as a zombie. You also get 15% increased damage when at full health, which combos nicely with the Vendetta gear, and the set bonuses of Call Followers and Iron Guard Summon's Revenants isn't super useful. However, restore 20 health when nearby followers die, undead followers die, is a very important one, as it also matches very nicely with the Vendetta gear. But some people may want to use other swords that are higher level. You can get a max level 90 sword by having an Olog continually break your blade, which is this one, Deathgiver. This is my max level sword, although I don't really use it a whole bunch anymore, as I feel Urfiel just goes better with the kit I use. However, you can get higher level legendaries, like this Blood Sword from the Slaughter Tribe, by killing high level legendaries. That's how you get this legendary gear in a higher thing, and it really all comes down to what tribe bonus you want to have. I just like the Ringwraith gear since it gives me a specific playstyle that I really like. Now for the dagger, I use a Charn. This is the legendary Ringwraith dagger. Grunts killed by stealth attacks have a 50% chance to resurrect as allies. So if I stab them in a knife, they have a 50% chance to resurrect as a zombie on my side. Gain 6 Wrath on stealth kill, which is really useful for getting the Ringwraith ability if you use Chain of Souls, which if you're not using, I don't know what's wrong with you. set bonus still applies. Now, the Longbow of Vengeance is the Vendetta one. Ranged damage dealt increases by 33% when health is below 35%. Gain 5 might on critical hit, which is really important if you use the critical hit on the last strike of the ice ability, which I highly recommend. And because it's a longbow, charged shots go through multiple enemies, causing collateral damage. Very cool. And this gives the first set bonus of the Vendetta gear of performing attacks requiring might by consuming 40% of your max health instead. I love doing 4 executions in a row, and that's why I like using at least 2 pieces of Vendetta gear, because it allows me to do that. It also allows me to use things like Mighty Shot. If I want to hit someone weak to poison from a range, I can consume some of my health for that. A very useful ability, in my opinion. Moving on, now we have armor. I use the Servant's Blackened Armor. This is the armor you get for 100% completing the epilogue. Allied grunts have a 40% chance to resurrect when they die. So whenever an ally dies, as long as they're one of the basic unnamed Uruks, when they die, they have a chance to resurrect as a zombie. 25% chance that a critical hit applies curse. Not really useful unless they're afraid of curse, but hey, and it fills another slot in the set bonus for the Ring Wraith set. Now, moving on here, we're going to go over to our cloak. And the cloak is something that's really interesting, because I use a couple different ones, all part of the Nazgul set. Raise Dead causes enemies to flee in terror. That is super useful and can work on certain captains. Undead allies take 50% less damage, which is another really awesome ability. It means your zombies will live a hell of a lot longer and be able to do way more damage. That is super important if you're like me and you like raising the dead. Now, when we move on to ring, the reason I use the Vendetta ring is already obvious. I like doing the consume health for damage. Also, damage dealt increases by 15% when health is below 35%. So if I'm weak, I do 15% all around more damage. And draining or dominating enemies recovers 100% more health. It is full health so long as you can get a dominate off. Just hold B or stealth dominate will do it. It's super, super overpowered when you continually drain Uruks and then burn your health on executions. It's something I love doing against captains once they're broken, because it means you can get really quick kills. Another thing that needs to be talked about is your gems. Now, gems are something that really don't matter in the super long run, but they can be very useful. Now, I have all the max level gems. These will take a while to get, and on my sword, bow, and knife, I all use the warrior gem, which causes 30% more weapon damage, just because I like doing way more damage. On my armor, I use the life gem, and on my cloak, I use the life gem because it's 30% more health on both, making it 60% more health. And I use a wealth gem on my rune because I like it when allied captains gain 5 levels after turning to my side and being recruited. It's just nice to have them level up 5 times, and sometimes it will max them out. Gems are all down to personal playstyle, and realistically you can configure them however you really want them to be configured. This is just the loadout that I use predominantly because it's really kind of scary. Now that we've tackled the beast that is gear, we can talk about your Uruks and your setup. So when you go into an online siege, you will obviously get met with the siege upgrade screen that you're very well familiar with if you've done the main quests, which you have to even do these. You will get your assault leaders page, where you have all your assault upgrades. Basically what you're going to want, in my opinion, on attack is Uruks who are strong and can kill quickly and not go down super easily. So, as you can see here in Saragost, I use Argol the Horned Lord, a poisonous feral tank who is legendary, Kuga Ironmount, a fiery dark tank that is legendary and also rides a dark Karagor, Dire Caragor. Gubu Warbringer, a poisonous Warmonger tank, who is also legendary. He's cool. Or Heku the Unforgiving, a poisonous terror commander, who is legendary. Arkaro the Gorger, a poisonous marauder destroyer, legendary. And Arsaku the Skinner, a fiery feral destroyer, who is legendary. One thing you'll notice out of all these is they're all legendaries. That is something you definitely want, as it can give them, well, it does give them 2 epic traits. As you can see here, Argol the Horned Lord has Curse Warder and Poison Warder. What these do is means that all of the troops near him take less damage from poison, he actually has Poison Master. So his allies do more poison damage. And a Curse Warder means him and his allies take less curse damage. He's got a poison weapon, which is awesome, and most of the guys here have poison weapons, so he's really upping the damage of everyone around him. He's got a gang of Ologs that follows him into battle. He's got the Tremor ability, which is really good on Ologs, and he's got the Beast Slayer, which is something that can be very useful if you're against beasts. He has Enraged by Cowards, which isn't super useful, but he's also immune to Fire, Frost, and Beasts, which is a really good thing, and he's got no Dazed by or weaknesses and no mortal weaknesses. He's just damaged by these things, but he's not actually super duper weak to them. Now, when we are also talking about this, we need to talk about siege upgrades. Siege upgrades are something that you're going to want to just pick and choose, but in my opinion, I use the Olog High for breaking walls, which is, obvious you want to be able to break walls down, so I use the Olog High. Savages are awesome. They are quick. They will get in the fortress once the walls or gate are down, and they will shred everything in their path. However, hunters are also a really good choice, as they will keep enemies at range while also throwing spears at them, and these guys are always good. I use fiery siege beasts, as fire is something that's always a good thing, but poison is also very useful. Curse isn't actually super useful, as Curse doesn't really do much for against Uruks. It's actually really only super good against players. So we'll get to that when we're talking about defense. I use the Wargraug, as it's dominated when you go into the fight, so you can ride it, and it will destroy walls, and it will destroy any Uruks in its path. Shelob's Brood is also good if you can see, looking at these enemies, that they have a fear of spiders. So if they have a fear of spiders, you're going to want to use that, probably. And the Wild Drake is never a super good choice, as you can burn your own troops with it. So I'd recommend not doing Wild Drake. I use Farsight Archers, as they will just completely shred stuff from range. But Fire Archers aren't a terrible idea. Neither is mounted ones, but beasts are always a little questionable, so I just do Farsight. Then this one, Inspiring Banners. I use these because Uruks will get into their bloodthirsty rage and just destroy everything in their path. And it's a way to just auto-enrage captains. It's a really good thing to use. But Overpower isn't a bad one if you just want to very quickly rush your way through an enemy fort and get everything. So that's kind of the basics of siege upgrades, and picking your ones you want to follow you into battle. Your assault leaders, these, like I said, you're going to want ones that have a lot of health and that can really quickly get through. So as you can see, 3 out of 6 of them are tanks. Tanks have increased health and sometimes death-defying. Now, death-defying, or tanks do have death-defying. Death-defying isn't useful in this, but their increased health, determination, where they can heal themselves, is a super good thing, because it means you won't randomly have them be going down as much. Wave of Might is good, and that's why tanks are pretty good. Tanks have a lot of health, and if you have O-logs, which I really like O-logs, they're one of my favorites, they are really good in sieges because they have more health, and they will be able to take on a lot more enemies at once. And obviously, bonuses are always a good thing. If you have a necromancer and you want to use him in an online siege, that's a really good idea, as he'll revive all of your allied orcs who go down, and you'll constantly have foot soldiers in there. Then I also have one commander. Now, commanders are good. He's got mighty O-logs as an epic trait, so he has a gang of... He inspires all O-logs around him, and they deal extra damage and take less from enemies. And he's also got his own gang of O-logs. And he's also got Poison Master. So I don't know if Poison Master stacks, but I do know it's very powerful. He's got the War Banners, which are super important, as he will be able to have them put down War Banners, and it works like the Siege upgrade, where they'll auto-enrage. Call Reinforcements is always good. And Dying Command, if by some horrible chance he is to die, all of his Uruks will go into a vengeful enrage to fight for the honor of their former captain. He doesn't really have anything that's super good. Bestial Frenzy is actually decent if, you know, there's someone riding a Karagor on the enemy fortress. So, these guys are Beastmasters, so they'll actually spawn Karagors. So if he can kill one of them, he gets enraged. So that's always good. And then I have 2 Destroyers. Now, Destroyers they're pretty scary. They'll blow stuff up. They're always good to have. There's definitely nothing wrong with this. And his death trait of Final Venom's not really super useful. He's one of the least good ones here, but he's also got Curse Warder and a gang of Elite Savages. Elite Savages are really scary to fight. Even Uruk to Uruk, because they are just super strong. He hates everything, though, so that's really good, because at any moment, he could go berserk and kill anything in his path. His immunities aren't useful at all, as other Uruks don't use assassinations. Not assassinations, wow. Executions, and Curse, like I said, doesn't really do anything to other Uruks. So, these really are down to what you want to use, and realistically, tribes have no real difference on the attacker's side, but I'll cover all that when we get to the defender's side. But for now, the attacker's side isn't really required for anything. Just, I recommend tanks and commanders and berserkers. Berserkers are always amazing as they deal high damage and regenerate their health. So if you can use berserkers, those are an amazing choice to use. Another thing you should kind of not always take seriously is the assault and defense rating. I have beaten fortresses that have almost 60 to 100 more than I have. It all really comes down to how much you can do to sway the tide of combat. As someone that really likes to help their Uruks, I don't really have too much of an issue with it. But we'll also get into all that when we get into the siege themselves. Now that we have gone over siege upgrades and the way that you want to line up your Uruks, and what Uruks you want to use, now we're going to talk about the siege itself. Now, online sieges work much like sieges that you will see in the campaign, or not the campaign, in the story. So these work the same as story sieges, where you got to take over a fortress by capturing victory points. If you're doing this, you've probably already done that. I'd be really surprised if you hadn't. And basically, you're just going to want to take on the Uruks. If you see one that you like and you can dominate them, then, you know, go ahead and dominate them. No sense in letting a cool Uruk go to waste. That would really suck to do. So there you go. I killed that Painbringer guy. Not a fan of him. This guy, probably not going to take either. I don't really like the look of him. He looks a little not really that cool looking. I can take you on. So, this guy, not really a fan of him. As you can see here, I'm going to use my Vendetta stuff, and I'm going to just do the Vendetta trick that I was talking about. You can see, I got him on his knee, got him back up.
Nothing, Ranger. The Dark Lord will punish you. He will punish all men.
And, because I don't really like him, there goes his head. So, now he's gone. This last one's actually pretty interesting looking, wherever he went. This guy, he's a pretty cool looking one, so I will probably get him.
You will die right here, right now. You will not get anywhere near the keep.
He's pretty cool looking. He's one of the old Uruks. He's also got cursed skin with cursed veins, so we're going to get him. So if we get him up, now he'll also help us with the siege. I don't know what our goal is so mad about. There's the first victory point. We're going to move on to the second one here. Wanted to see if I could see what one of these guys' weaknesses are, but it won't let me, so nope, can't do that. You can see there's one of my grunts reviving. This guy must be weak to poison, because his health just drained. Let's see. Oh, no, it's beasts. He's afraid of pinning, but he's pretty cool looking. He's actually got some good immunities. He's got some good stuff, so I'll get him too. Oh, the game's glitching. Sometimes you'll have this weird glitch when dominating where it will just completely freeze. I don't know what this is about. It'll happen sometimes, though. He's a pretty cool looking Olog. I like his armor. So I believe, was he the war chief? No, he wasn't the war chief. Where is the war chief? I don't see the war chief. Is he behind me? There he is. Yeah, he was behind me. Oop. Another thing is, difficulty doesn't matter in sieges because it will automatically give you 2 last chances. So you don't got to worry about last chances in online sieges. You'll automatically be given them. I play on brutal difficulty. I don't know how I stealthed that one, but I play on brutal difficulty, and normally I only have 2, but as you can see, I have 3 last chances down in the corner. So you'll get 3 last chances in this, which is really nice. So get rid of him. Poet. Oh, I wish he had introduced himself. I would have liked to hear his poem. But he's gone now. Not really interesting. Now we're going to move on to the next one. As you can see, a bunch of my guys' healths are low, but none of them are really dying. Lucky Shot. Not really a fan of him. Oh, there's a Morgai fly nest there, so we can exploit his fear of Morgai flies. As you can see, he's now dazed, and he's dead. So that war chief is gonna die. Spearmaster. I think our Saku just, like, picked him up and punched him. You're a dreamer, I think. Pretty cool. I don't know why you're enraged. As you can see, I was able to knock him over. I use the Fury ability because it lets me get more might. Oh no, he's the Fanatical. That's the Fanatical armor. I thought he was a Dreamer, but no, he's actually good. I'm gonna get him. No, not that Uruk. Bad game. You know, I use the Fury ability when they're on the ground. It's the ground execution where you just punch them in the face a bunch, because it lets me build up my might so I can use more abilities. It's another ability I highly recommend for this. Oh, they're probably going to kill him. Is he dazed by it? Yeah, he's probably going to die. Unless he's enraged. Nope, he's dead. Yeah, he's dead. That sucks. But I couldn't get him to unenrage due to all of his enrages. So, as you can see, we're currently on the 3rd victory point. So, another thing, when you kill the war chief, or you claim the victory point, all remaining Uruks at that victory point will move to the next. So, if you don't kill any of the supporting captains, you'll end up with a lot more at later victory points. So that's another thing to be careful of, that you don't want to let get super out of hand. So, is that the Harrow guy? Because I actually want him. Oathbreaker, yeah, I don't want you, but I want the Harrow guy over there. That guy with that mask. He's the war chief, as you can see, because he's got that little crown above his head. One of my Ologs, I think, just went down. Who is that? That is the Skinner. So let's get him up. And that's right, the Oathbreaker is arrow-proof. Whoa, so many explosions. There you go, I saw he was weak, now he's broken. I can get him into this domination little screen. I can get him back up to fight, and you'll see my health is now full, and I can burn my health on an execution. Now, these are executions that will take them down, will not actually take any health away. Of course, he's going to death defy, because he's a tank. The War Chief. So we're going to want him. Oh, wait, he leveled up. Oh, that sucks. He leveled up, so I can't get him. So I could have killed him. I probably should have killed him, but... hang on, I gotta start a new recording now. There's gonna be a little cut there. So... there we go. So, I should have killed him. Definitely. I really wanted to block that Savage. Why can I not block that one Savage? There we go. I got them to flee by burning my health on a raised dead. This guy must be frost-proof, because I haven't been able to freeze him. There we go! That's that Savage dead. Luckily, he's not got Vault Breaker. He's just immune to ice. Another tip I can give, when they start doing this, you can use the glaive, and it will go through their blocking. So if you have an Uruk who's blocking a lot, glaives will go through it. And he's also afraid of executions, which is a really interesting fear for this. I don't recommend using Uruks on defense who have fear of execution, but we'll get into all that when we get to talking about defense as an actual topic and not just in the middle of this. Let me actually claim this victory point so everyone will start running, then I can get my O-logs back up. So now there's going to be those two inner ones. Let's get these two up. Let me dominate a friendly Uruk to get my health back. And let's get in there now. So we're going to climb over this wall. You can dominate the siege beasts if you want to. I don't normally do it. I have Uruks down again. I think that's not good. Who are you?
Reached my outer defenses. This is nothing. We are all keepers of the dark.
Our Bennu the Rat. Buddy, you're talking big for a title, the Rat. You're actually a pretty cool feral tank. Oh, you have a gang of mighty O-logs and a gang of O-logs and Poison Warder. You're actually pretty good since your only fear is You're only weak to stealth and... No, Kuga! No, Kuga! No, Kuga! I forgot. So, there's a weird thing that can happen where I don't believe your Uruks are supposed to be able to die in sieges. They're not meant to be able to, but I've had it happen before where it glitches and they will die, so that's gonna suck if Kuga died. I'm gonna be kinda sad if Kuga died. Oh, nice. A random Uruk just murdered the serpent. What? That's funny. Random highly armored Uruk. Just let me over this dang wall, game. You. Not you. I dominated you already. You were that first guy. You. I want you up. There we go. So I got him up. Is the War Chief still alive? Yes, he is. Oh, the rat is the War Chief. Interesting. You are the guy that killed... Yeah, you're the guy that killed him. You are going to pay the ultimate price. This is what you get for killing one of my favorite guys. Oh, you're deranged. Oh, wow. Well... You tried, alright, and I'm sorry, but you failed. You failed horribly. Oh, it's that execution. Pretty bad camera angle. Dang it, Greg. Is that a piece of legendary gear? Oh, it is. Oh, it's from Kuga. Oh, that's kind of making me sad now. I really hope he's not permadead. I like to keep the armor and stuff from my dead, like, best followers. I have one from one of my first guys. His name was Ratok the Deranged. I still have the epic ruin that he dropped. Can you please stop rolling over them, Talion? Alright. Let's claim the victory point. So, the rat. I do have to admit, you're actually pretty good, so we're gonna dominate you. Oh, look at him. He's friendly. Okay, that's a cool O-Log, too. That's the last War Chief. Apparently, he's dazed. So, a little fun fact about dazed O-Logs that you might want to use. I don't really use it a lot, but you can actually hop on their back and shank them. It's not something I really use that often, because rarely will O-Log captains actually be dazed, but...
The Overlord awaits you in his keep. He will cleanse this fort of your disgusting presence and restore these grounds. This is the will of the Dark Lord.
Isn't the point of the War Chiefs to keep me from getting to the Overlord? Why are you acting like it's I mean, it is inevitable that I'm going to get to him. As you can see, I blew myself up, but I'm not super worried about it because I have full might now from it. As you can see, he was going to pick me up, but all I did was execute him. You can cancel a bunch of... You can get invincibility frames by using abilities like... Oh! Whoa, that hurt. Wow, dominating that guy earlier is paying off in the long run, because he just saved my life. Thank you, Mr. Wise. I want to dominate that guy, but if he dies, you know, oh well. Oh, yep, he died. He's got to have that final venom. And you can see I'm weak, though, so what I'm going to go do is just go find a random orc. I'm going to pick this zombie, and I'm just going to kill him. As you can see, I have Ring Wraith full, and when you enter the keep, you will have your arrows recharged, if I remember right. So as you can see, in the top right, I'm no longer going to get a gold chest from this, because it's taken me a while to get to this point. He does not have a bodyguard, which is nice.
I'm glad you made it this far.
The literate one. Huh, at least the Overlord can read and write, I suppose. Oh, he's actually good. I'm gonna get him.
If it is pain you seek, then you're in luck.
His shield and spear just shrunk so he could pick them up. Oh, wow. That was funny. Okay, no, my arrows didn't. I'm thinking of something else. So just grab some arrows. Should have grabbed some outside, but I didn't. We'll talk about this room and stuff in this room when we get to that. I'm going to spawn my bodyguard and my Graug, because you can actually spawn Graugs in here. I don't know what this guy's enraged by, but he's enraged by something. So let's see what it is. Let's see, what could he have been enraged by? Oh, it's because of his own cat. That's why. Nice. Talker just got rid of him. Your name is Talker, right? I think it is. It's Talker the Brute, right? Sorry, Zune the Brute. Sorry. Sorry, Zune. Called you Talker. Look at another guy. So I'm going to use Ring Wraith. As you can see, I gain a bunch of might. Your might will just continually recharge with Ring Wraith. This is stuff you'll obviously know if you've beaten the main story. Spawn the Gondorian Whites. There's Raised Dead. Now, I use the one that gives my Raised Dead from this fiery weapons. Now, that's probably not going to be a super great idea in this, just because I think this guy's probably immune to fire. He is really always angry. What's he enraged by now? Oh, it's my Graug. Okay, hold on then. It's my Graug that he's, enraged by. So let me get rid of the Graug, and he'll calm down. He is really going to town on Zune. Raised Dead there. Get some more zombies. Here we go. He's broken, and there we go. Now we can dominate him. And there we go. He's just going to automatically retreat. And we're going to get a little loading screen. And there we go. As you can see, we have now captured this other player's fortress. He had some decent defenses. His is not the most challenging fort I've ever seen. Trash Can Boy, your fortress was pretty good, but it's not the best one I've ever seen. I've seen some terrifying no-chance fortresses. There we go. It still took me 9 minutes, though, so, you know, definitely fair game on his part. That's not no chump change time. That's pretty good. Okay, so in the aftermath of the siege, sadly the worst has happened, and Kuga Ironmount did in fact perma-die, which made me realize that I had it backwards. Whenever they die in an online siege, they do die, as in they're dead for good. I have had Uruks who glitch and stay alive when they're not supposed to stay alive. So, sadly now, Kuga is dead, and I can't even revive him, sadly, because he got decapitated. However, this means I can, on the other hand, promote a new war chief. Now, I don't want to promote Argol just because I liked having an Uruk up there, and looking at it, there's not really any super good ones. I guess Booball wouldn't be a terrible choice. He's proven himself actually to be pretty useful. But I think we're going to pick one from the garrison, which is where Uruks that you dominate during online sieges will get put. So you can see here all of my ones that I've gotten, sieges and the like. So realistically, I'm just going to pick one who's an Uruk in here. See if there's any super good ones in here that I can use. Takuga the Reaper, he's cool looking, right? He's also got some good stuff. Yeah, he's got some good stuff. I actually quite like the look of him. Is there any other better ones we got here? Oh, Og, Guardian of Mordor. We're actually, I think we're gonna do him. He quite reminds me of Kuga. So we're gonna deploy him into Saragost. There he is, Og, the Guardian of Mordor. And we're going to want to put him up in the War Chief position. That was one that's held by Kuga. Reposition. And there he is, now a War Chief. So he will defend the fortress. Really is sad that Kuga can't even be revived, but it's the way the cookie crumbles on that. Rather depressing. So, don't let your Uruks die. That is the main thing. Just whatever you do, don't let them die. Obviously, when you're up against things that are insta-kills, like executions, there's not a lot you can do. But obviously, you're going to want to try everything to not let your followers die. Because they will indeed perma-die. Now that we've talked about how to siege a fortress, and the gear you want to use it, and the siege upgrades you should use for it, now we're going to talk about defense. The reason I've saved defense for last is because you have no real control in what happens in a defense. It is all up to your defenders. It is fully down to the Uruks you put in your fortress and your defense upgrades. So, we're going to go over all this stuff that you really need to know. First thing starts with the Overlord. Your Overlord should be someone, I say should, you can do whatever you like, but if you want to make it so people will not easily siege your fort, using an Overlord who has extremely good abilities and is very strong is going to be your best bet. This is Osgrells the Giant. He is my Poisonous Terror Berserker, who is the Overlord in Saragost. And he has Poison Master, Curse Warder, a Poison Weapon, a Gang of Ologs, and Tremor as his bonuses. He is a Berserker class who will enrage a lot. He's got 5 enrages, but we'll get to that. He's got Furious Charge, Rabid, Rampage, and he's an Olog. So that is a pretty scary mix. He is enraged by killing a captain, who he will probably not be able to do. However, if his gang of Ologs die, he will get mad. If his bodyguard gets attacked, he'll get mad. Now, his bodyguards, he's got 2 of them, are Ratok the Thief and Zathra the Legendary, both of which are pretty decent Uruks already. He also has Enraged by Cowards, so he's probably not going to be able to use that. And Vengeful Master becomes enraged if a bodyguard is killed. That's pretty useful. He's immune to arrows, frost, and beasts. These are 3 extremely good bonuses for an Overlord. Arrow proof means you cannot pin him in place, and you also cannot, shoot him in the head or anything. You can't use a ranged advantage against him. Frost means you can't freeze him, and because he's already immune to arrows, you don't got to worry about pinning. And Beasts, since you can summon Graugs and Karagors, he is completely immune to them. All 3 of these abilities are actually extremely good on Overlords for this reason, because now you've basically crippled most players' arsenals. The only way to make him truly scary would be as if he's immune to poison and fire on top of it. But having all these immunities at once is somewhat rare. Now, he is got exhaustion, which is kind of a bad thing, but because he's a berserker, he will actually stay enraged a bit longer. So that's an important thing to note, that he'll be enraged for longer. When he finally does wear off, he will be dazed temporarily. But since he's got bodyguards, it's fine, and he's damaged by, obviously, this stuff. Stealth isn't really that big of Vigilant to stealth isn't useful in the Overlord room because you're almost never going to get stealth. And fire and executions are pretty normal for players. Fire is only if they're running that kit. Next we talk about our War Chiefs. War Chiefs defend the fortress, and I don't always use the best ones just because I like putting Uruks I like in high positions. So we have Gubu Warbringer. He's got a fear of pinning and curse. Curse isn't that bad of a fear, but fear of pinning really sucks. Especially because he's not arrow-proof. He's poison-proof and frost-proof and beast-proof. Now, frost-proof is actually really good because he's a defender. But because he's got a fear of pinning, it's also kinda eh. He's enraged by everything, though. So if he enrages, that fear of pinning will also be a bit of a thorn in his side. He is a tank, so he'll death defy, which is good. He's a warmonger, so he can use his gauntlets. He's got the defender shield, which is nice, because he's a defender and he can heal himself. He's got poison warder and mighty warriors, so while he is immune to poison, he'll also help his allies be less damaged by them. His mighty warriors is good because all warriors around him will be inspired to take less damage and deal more, and he's got his own gang of warriors, which is good. Here we have Og the Guardian, the guy who I promoted in the last clip. Now, he does not actually have a weapon with an effect on it here, so we're going to go into trading orders here, and because everyone else has poison helping abilities, I'm going to give him a poisoned weapon. Because now, the Poison Master from his allied War Chiefs will also get affected by him. Now, he's good. He's got no enrages, but he's immune to poison, frost, and beasts. That's pretty good because he's a savage, meaning you can't freeze him by stunning him in the face. He's only dazed by Morgai flies, so that's not too bad of a fear because, you know, you have to have the nest. Thick-skinned is always good. Greatly increased health is never a bad option. And Epic Determination, being able to heal himself fully unless he gets interrupted. And he's a Karagor Rider. Now, Karagor Rider isn't always a good thing and can sometimes be bad. But if they're enraged by a Karagor, having them with a Karagor is a good thing. Arkara the Gorger we've already talked about in the attack section, but pretty much everything I praised him for is good here. The only thing that's not great is his dazed by Karagor attacks. Apart from that, everything here is good. Immune to executions is very useful on defense, because it means you can't just hit him with a bunch of those. And if they were to kill him, his final venom could mess up attackers. Leading Savages is really good. Elite Savages aren't fun to fight. And his Curse Warder means that by some chance if an enemy Uruk does have Curse, they won't be affected by it. Orheku has no dazes and no weaknesses, so this guy is really good. His Mighty Ologs means all Ologs around him will be inspired to do more damage and take less. That's super good because I use, obviously, a lot of Ologs, as you can see. His Poison Master and a Poison Weapon, so all that still applies. He's the Commander, so he'll summon stuff and do the War Banners, which all this has been over. Most of the War Chiefs have already been gone over because they were in the attacking section, but the last one is Austere the Mountain. Now, he is one of the ones that's not super good. Heavily damaged by beasts is a really not super good thing because you can find random Karagors in sieges. Shaken Master also isn't a super good thing because if a bodyguard is killed, he will be dazed. His immunities to execution, fire, and fire are good, though. The curse is pretty much useless. Enraged by mortal wounds is always a really good one to have. Last Stand is not useful in sieges because rarely will he be fighting alone. Enraged by poison is a good one because let's just say an ally smacks him in the back, he'll get enraged. And enraged by cowards could be useful if an enemy gets dazed. Being a berserker, all the good stuff about berserkers still applies to him. Now we're going to talk about your defense upgrades. Now, there is some really important ones here. Metal walls, there's no reason to not use metal walls. They are the strongest and the best. There's no reason to not use them. Poison spout, fire spouts is an okay option. but I use poison spouts. I'll actually switch between these depending on the fortress, but I use poison spouts here because poison will make Uruks throw up and choke and freeze them in place, basically. So it's always good. I have Savage Host and Hunter Host. Now, Hunters are really good with mine because I have so many Ologs. They'll keep their distance and just throw spears at attackers while the Ologs deal with the rest. Poisonous Siege Beasts for the same reason as Poison Spouts. The War Graug because you have a Graug on your side, and that's never really a bad thing. War Caragors aren't a bad thing, but Caragors are super weak. I can one-shot them, so they're not super good. And Hellfire is a terrible option because you can burn your own troops, and if they destroy the Hellfire, which they're almost certain to, now you have a Wild Drake for them to use. Farsight Archers, because you can take attackers out before they get there, but Fire Archers aren't bad. Spiked Walls, eventually they're going to get in, so there's no real huge point in doing it. Poison Mines for the same reason as the rest of the poison. Gotta start a new recording here, so we're just gonna do sync. There we go, we're resynced. Poison Mines for the same reason as all other poison, because poison will choke out Uruks and they won't be able to get there. So that is the Saragost Fortress that I use. You can change it up, and I would say Saragost isn't my best fortress by any means. I have way better fortresses than Saragost. Nurnen is one of the ones. Well, actually, Nurnen is the one where I've really put in super amount of work. So we're going to have a little bit of a look at my Nurn Fortress. So here, I can't show my upgrades, but they're pretty much the same. So, Overlord is technically supposed to be Osteru, but I have Arhenik up here for his Overlord bonus that he gives, which that will have its own dedicated thing soon. He's got Beast Fodder, which isn't a really good thing, but all of his enrages are pretty good, especially by Graugs. We have Ormasi Warmonger. His Fear of Pinning is bad, and the rest of his stuff is pretty good. He's a Warmonger commander, so all the commander stuff we went over is good. Beastmaster, Osteru, he's dazed by stealth, which you're never really going to see stealth, and the rest of his stuff is all pretty good, especially that epic Graug call. Arbenu the Wrestler, he's got some not great things with that Beast Fodder. I actually don't think he's supposed to be up here. There's supposed to be another guy up here. This fortress has been a little messed up. One thing you definitely are going to want to look out for, there is no chance. Hork the Prankster here has ended many people's sieges because of his no chance. So, no chance is something you really want to look for. There it is again. No chance is found most commonly on assassins. So if you have any super good assassins, they're never a bad choice to use, because you will be able to instantly end a siege with assassins because of their no chance. Now, there is some good things about having a Warmonger Overlord, and like I said, I'll mention Overlord bonuses, you know, depending on what tribe your Overlord is a part of, in their own separate little thing that I'm planning on doing. But Overlord of the Warmonger tribe will make it so there's actually more supporting grunts among the ranks of your fortress. There'll be more just regular, unnamed foot soldiers. And that is a really nice pairing if you have necromancers defending your fortress. Because what it means is that they will just be constantly resurrecting these more... having trouble here thinking of what I want to say. You'll be resurrecting more of these foot soldiers just with necromancers, because you'll have more that will be dying that you can resurrect. That's kind of the strategy there. But we'll go over, you know, just because that's part of Overlord bonuses. I plan on doing Something talking about the cool little bonuses and just what changes depending on what tribe the Overlord is in different regions. So we'll go over that, the specifics some other time. But yeah, you can get more foot soldiers by having an Overlord of the Warmonger tribe. One of the few differences that a tribe will make. I also believe the Mystic tribe will resurrect the dead. They have necromancers on their side. So those are also not a bad choice in sieges. Especially if you can get a Mystic Assassin, as they'll have no chance along with the Mystic Blade, which is a terrifying combination. Because the thing is, you're more than likely gonna see the enemy make it to the attacker's room. Like, that's not really an impossibility. You're more than likely going to see them make it to the attacker's room. That's just how you want to prepare, in my opinion. I fully expect the enemy to make it to the attacker's room. Now, talking about the inside of the attacker's room is a whole, or inside the Overlord's room, sorry, I've been saying attacker's room, wow. Talking about the inside of the Overseer's room, I believe the vents on the floor that will spew poison, curse, or fire is all dependent on what weapon your Overlord carries. So if they have a cursed weapon, it'll be cursed vents. If it's a fire weapon, it'll be fire vents. And if it's a poison weapon, it'll be poison vents. So let's say let's just say that you have an Overlord who is enraged by poison, for instance. And you give them a poison weapon and their Overlord and all that. If they get hit by the vent, they will enrage. So that's something to consider when you're thinking about what kind of weapon you want your Overlord to have. Obviously, if they're like Osgrell's here and they have Poison Master, it doesn't matter if, say, they're enraged by fire and you want them to have a fire event. It's best to keep the poison, because then they will have a crippling poison that will take down other players very easily. So that is pretty much the go at defense that I can say is what I use. If we go to the online, we can see how many people... Nope, that's guide. If we go to online, we can see how many people have taken on my fort. So somebody defeated my fort in Saragost, but then if we go down one, you can see I repelled an attack. Let's see if there's any other. I repelled an attack. Not in Saragost. In Nernan, I repelled this guy's attack. It was probably Hork. As you can see, I have a lot of people getting silver and gold ratings, though. Which means I was able to hold them off. This person that did it in Saragost, they got a bronze rating. I meant to say silver and bronze, not silver and gold. As you can see, they have a lot of bronze, a lot of silver ratings. Because they didn't actually capture it in time. If we look here, there we go. That guy lost against my Gorgoroth fort, and this one in Liflad, he got a silver. So that's something that can happen, where you can gauge, how good a fortress did by that. If we look here, view ratings, we can actually look here at your own rating. So my total across all things defense rating is 2820. I don't know why my Seereth Ungol one is so low. Probably because that's the one place I don't pay much attention to. But yeah, you can look at and see, if people have been able to conquer your fortress in this menu. And most of the time, people that do conquer mine get silvers and bronzes. But as you can see, there is a couple that get gold. Like this guy must have blitzed his way through. They won't show me, but yeah, he must have blitzed his way through to have completed it with a gold rating. So, oh wait, that was mine. Herdider. Wait, no, wait, that wasn't mine. Why'd it go back there? Yeah, that guy. He must have blitzed through to be able to get with that rating. Yeah. So that's kind of the thing. with defense is you mostly want berserkers, tanks, commanders, all those big brutish guys, kind of like on attack, but this time because you're trying to hold out as long as possible, because the way you want to look at it is you're more than likely gonna have them get to the Overlord. If you can take them down prior to the Overlord, you're good, but obviously you have no real say in the way that an online siege goes, since you cannot directly be involved. Apart from that, that's about all I have to say about defense. Now that we've talked about every other facet of Fortress Sieges, we're going to talk about the last, and what I would consider one of the least important, from an Uruk standpoint, your reward. Now, I don't have a fortress chest currently, but here we have a silver... Oh wait, no, this is one. This is a silver conquest chest. So these are the conquest... Wow. I cannot speak. The silver conquest chest will have this type of gear in it. This yellow, they can sometimes have the orange gear, but mostly you'll have this yellow gear. Now, you're probably not going to want to use this stuff. What you can do with this stuff, however, is go into your inventory and destroy it for Miriam. That's how I had, like, 200,000 Miriam before upgrading a bunch of Uruks. So, that's a great way of getting Miriam. However, when you see legendary Uruks in a siege that you don't want, killing them is a better idea than taking them. Or take them and then go into the garrison and destroy the follower, because then you can get legendary gear. So let's say I want to get another piece of Warmonger legendary gear. What I would do is I'd find a legendary captain in an online siege who I don't really want to dominate, and I will just kill him for the gear. So you can get the legendary gear that you want from doing these as well, which is something I highly recommend doing, as it's easier than hunting for legendaries yourself, which can be really time-consuming. That's how I have so much legendary gear here. I have a lot of legendary gear. I actually have 51 out of 72. So I need 2 more in the Dark set, 2 more in the Feral set, 1 more in the Terror set, 4 more in the Warmonger set, 3 more in the Machine, 4 more in the Marauder, 2 more in the Slaughter, and 3 more in the Outlaw. I have 100% completed the Mystic set, the Ringwraith set, the Vendetta set, and the Bright Lord set. Now, I will probably go over how you get the Bright Lord set, the Vendetta set, and the Ringwraith set at some point, just because these are really good sets for those who want to use them. Especially the Vendetta gear, because I've already proven myself to be a liker of this gear. And the Bright Lord set is good if you like doing your Ringwraith or Elven Rage abilities. And it's also some pretty cool looking gear. So, that's another bonus of doing sieges, is you can get legendary gear, and the chests will have gear in them. Now, the last thing that we should talk about is your next Spoils of War upgrade chest. Getting 1,000 Spoils of War will grant you a Spoils of War upgrade chest. These chests guaranteed contain a training order to make your Uruk legendary. So if you have a follower who you really want to make legendary, and you don't have the Mirian for it, because it is 20,000 Mirian, that's not a small amount. So let's say, for instance, if I have anyone not legendary, let's say I wanted to make Mr. Blackthorn here a legendary. I would be able to use the legendary training order that I have from Spoils of War chest on him. Really good if you want to get a legendary Uruk with not a huge amount of time and effort put into it. Obviously, though, this is an amazing way of getting Mirian. I am only 4,000 away from being able to afford a legendary, and that's after I had about 200,000, and I started leveling a bunch of them up. So that's one of the certainly useful aspects of this. And if you get duplicate legendary gear, you can also destroy that. And if it's not max level also, you might not want to keep it. Like, this is a level 78 Darkest Dagger. However, as you can see, I have a level 82 Darkest Dagger. So this Darkest Dagger here, I'm just going to destroy it for 1,310 Mirian. I have 2 of these Outlaw Daggers, so I'm going to destroy one for 1,270. And there we go. That's 4,000, or 2,000, 3,000 or so Mirian right there. A good trade. Most certainly a good trade, especially because none of that gear was going to use. Get rid of that. There we go. 19. Let's see. Get rid of this. Alright. I believe we only got to get rid of one more not great item. So, there we go. Now I can afford a legendary training order. So, let's go to Mr. Blackthorn here. And I actually do like him. He was featured in the war paint. So, we're going to purchase this training order, and there we go. Now he is a legendary follower. As you can see, it says legendary, and he got the great strength and thick-skinned perks. These are really good perks, actually, like genuinely good. Except you'll notice he doesn't exactly have a specific type of weapon, so we can go back into training orders and we can pick to give him a weapon. Now I'm going to give him a fire weapon because I already have one of those and don't need to buy another one with Mirian. He's got a fire weapon. Now, I believe one of these guys has Fire Master, doesn't he? I want to say you might. No, wait, you have the Growl Call. I'm pretty sure somebody here on defense has Fire Master. That's Poison. Why do you have Poison Master when you have a fire weapon? That's not... That's weird. I'm going to have to fix that. Fire Warder, so he gets less. I thought one of these guys had Fire Master. Oh well. As you can see here, though, now he's got fire weapons. His little machine chain, if you can see it there on his belt, is on fire. So there's that. He's now legendary, and that's one of the big perks and bonuses to doing these, is you can get legendary gear, and you can get more Mirian to upgrade your followers. That's what I meant by bonuses and, you know, extra stuff at the beginning, is you can do this. Apart from that, that's about all I have to say for online sieges. So that pretty much covers it. I know this was very long for what it's really about, but I felt like I wanted to get a lot of, even some of the more minute details in there, just so they are more well known. But that does pretty much cover everything to do with online fortresses. That is a absolute need to know, 100% you are going to want to use, sort of, that's all covered now. It may have taken quite a while, and with a couple of accidents along the way, but at least it's now knowledge that is known.